Discussing whether Ghana as a country is winning the fight against corruption. Well, the lead advocate of the subject of grafts and anti-grafts in Ghana is the executive secretary of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. It is the local arm or local chapter of Transparency International around the world. They've been having their eyes on issues of corruption and what efforts governments around the world are making to nip the canker in the bud. Vitas Azim, thanks for joining me this morning. Okay, now let me just a very open-ended question: is Ghana winning the fight against corruption?
We are not winning the fight.
Okay, what makes you draw that?
We are not. It's not that we are not winning, but we are failing the fight against corruption. Is because you just take the newspapers and you open. You take the calls that anti-corruption agencies and ordinary citizens are calling on the government to do about certain issues, and you don't see them happening. It's like, well, they came to us asking for our votes. We've given them their votes. Now we do what we want. If you're not happy, you can go to hell, or don't vote for us next time.
What do you say about the criticism that, well, anti-graft agencies, yes, like yours and other pressure groups and think tanks are doing well and good, but very much unappreciative of the efforts of government to make sure that perhaps concerns raised about perceived corruption and embezzlement really are dealt with?
We don't see the efforts that government is making. Sometimes people like you, journalists, investigative journalists, they go around, get information, concrete information, with pictures, with records, voice, and present it to government. And government decides that they are going to do their own investigation. And you put the people that are indicted or mentioned in those acts to investigate themselves. Of course, what do you expect? You expect them to come and say, oh, we didn't find any basis, or that we've cleared these people. So what are the government efforts? Can you list, for example, in the past 2 years, somebody has been fired because of corruption, a public official. Some monies have been recovered from somebody because the monies were wrongly paid. At least somebody has been prosecuted. Some monies have been recovered from somebody that, I mean, you don't see any effort.
Okay.
It's not a pronouncement.
Someone would say perhaps you're turning a blind eye to efforts like the establishment of a commission to look at judgment debts. Two, we had some well, officials of agencies that have been cited for perceived embezzlement and corruption who currently are before courts. And these efforts are ongoing. The president even keeps hammering on it in his speeches wherever he goes, that these efforts are being made. And you say you don't see anything.
Well, of course, when the matters get to court, it's outside the hands of the executive. But how many of those cases actually get to court? Before they get to court, what are the preparations for sending these people to court? Do we even know the findings, the basis? For example, just look at JIDA. The president told Eyoko that they should make their findings public wherever they have reached. We've just heard people are in court. Are they the only people that were indicted by the report? Why don't we see the report and know the basis on which they have sent these two people in court, and why others are not brought before court? What are the administrative actions taken? SADA. Has anybody been sanctioned? Has anybody been made to pay monies? At least are we aware? If they have even paid, we are not aware that people have been made to pay monies because they took the monies wrongly. Super Info Solutions is in the news. You set a committee of the beneficiaries or the people who are supposed to have acted to avoid the whole thing to investigate themselves. But it's not even an investigation, it's a negotiation. They're supposed to meet and renegotiate, which is an admission in the first place that there was something wrong with the whole process. Especially when the Minister of Finance came out last year to say that he had instructed that they stop paying the monies. What investigation did they do before that? The investigation that the journalists did is more than what these people have done. He had bank statements, payments made to various people. I mean, he had all the information that they needed to do a very serious investigation if they wanted. Then you sit down and renegotiate for a 1% reduction. What is the effort that they are making? And secondly, you see that they should see whether the contract can be set aside. The Attorney General is the government's advisor, legal advisor. The Attorney General can just look at that contract and determine whether it should be set, it can be set aside or not. You don't need to set up a committee to do that. Another two issues that are in the air. The DC that is alleged to have gone and stayed in Tema with 30,000 Ghana cedis. The man's admitted $2,400. Multiply $1,400 by today's exchange rate is 30,000. So what is the denial? Another DC has taken 180,000 to renovate the bungalow. And you keep setting up committees and committees to do nothing. They don't come out with anything different from what we already know. So what are the efforts? Can they come out and tell us the efforts? Now I hear they are saying that there's no need to do any serious investigation of SOBA. The issues that we raised, monies were wrongly paid. The contract was signed in 2010. When there was no law of compelling the telcos to allow the monitoring. And then 2011, the money they started paying. You say it's for costs. Why were they paying on a monthly basis? Multiply from January 2011 to July 2013. That is how many months? 30 months. Multiply that by an average of 4 million cedis a month. How much does it come to? So you don't even need to argue about whether it's 74 million or it's 144 million.
Somebody will say that you work with an anti-corruption agency. That's your work. Your work is supposed to criticize whatever is being done as far as to make sure that you hit ground zero, right?
No, there are times that if government does something good, we comment. We're not just looking at the bad side of everything. But it has reached a stage where sometimes we even get emotional about it because the government is not doing anything. And when it just rained yesterday in the night. I came from Kaswa. Look at the roads. Before you get onto the main road, your car is completely dirty because there's no tar road leading to the main road. You get to the traffic lights, they are not working. And so there is traffic load. It took me 2 hours to come here, and I even had to divert through Abeka to come here.
But do you understand that roads cannot be built in a day?
Yes, but how many roads are ongoing? What I'm just saying is that we need the money for these things, not to be paying unnecessary judgments. You go and award a contract for a service that is already being carried out by state institutions. For example, if Controller Accountant General has an ICT department, then you go and award a contract to a private person, ICT person, to come and work on ICT in that office.
Is it not a subject of competence and how effectively also organizations?
So why do you pay those people if they are not competent, if they cannot do their work? You are paying twice for the same job.
In that respect, what advice do you give government on this?
Well, the thing is due diligence. You assess. You set up an ICT department. Is it doing the work that they're supposed to do? If it's doing it, why do you go out and bring other people and pay them as contractors? Why don't you employ people, permanent staff that can do the work? Because contractors obviously would charge more. So we don't exercise due diligence. Sometimes you just create an opportunity to award a contract to somebody, maybe for political reasons or for personal gains.
That is perceived.
And that is corruption. Yeah, I'm saying you. I'm not mentioning a particular organization, but I'm saying sometimes they
countries like the United States of America, the UK, the Netherlands, they outsource contracts to whether defense contractors, etc., to undertake jobs that could have been done by state agencies because they want efficiency. Is that wrong?
You outsource because in-house, you either don't have that body to do the work, or you have it, but it doesn't have the capacity. But where you have that body that has the capacity in-house, you don't go out and outsource it because you are paying twice for the same work. So that is the point. I'm not against outsourcing, but you outsource when there's a need for it.
Over the last 2 years, your organization, or let's say over the last year, your organization, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, have you put together a dossier for which you are forwarded to government and, well, if not enumerated, but pinpointed some of the actions you feel that government needs to take on certain issues or subjects you feel also need to be adequately looked into? When
you look at the press statements that we've been releasing, unfortunately this year we've not released any. When we release our press statements, towards the end we always make recommendations.
Well, you make recommendations,
or we call on government to do certain things, to take certain actions.
Do you formally send dossiers or take those statements?
You don't need to formally do that, because we are just like hawks flying over and seeing some spots telling government that there's a gutter here, they need to work on it. And government has the capacity and the resources to now carry out the investigations into those gaps if they're serious about it. And definitely they listen. Sometimes they come on air to defend, always defending, hardly admitting, which means they don't even accept some of the things that we point out. And that is very, very unfortunate.
For all your criticism, the last year's release of the 2013 Corruption Perception Index report placed Ghana in a better position than the year before.
Better by 1 point.
That's bad point?
46, as against 45 in 2012.
That's a bad point?
Well, we have always said that at least a pass mark is 50 out of 100. So if you are scoring anything below 50 out of 100,
that's not good enough.
It's not good enough. Besides, look at Ghana. First country south of the Sahara to become independent, having good democratic elections, all those praises that we get when we go outside the country. And yet, why are the other countries beating us? It shows that we are not making enough effort. We should always be striving to improve upon what we have done.
We don't.
Even if we scored 50.
We're always beating biggest neighbor, Nigeria.
Well, yes. Is it a praise? Are you praising Nigeria for doing that? Are we praising Nigeria for doing that? I'm saying that you should be thinking about your house. What can you do to make sure that all your children go to school? That you can pay their school fees on time, they don't get sacked from the class. You don't worry that your neighbor's children are not in school. You can help if they need help, but that should not be a standard for you to measure your success.
Over the last couple of minutes, you've been talking about judgment debts and how wrongly contracts have been terminated, and as a result of that, huge costs have been awarded to those abrogated contractors, and as a result of that, the government will have to pay judgment debts. What do you make of the work of the Judgment Debts Commissioner?
I think it's a good thing that the Judgment Debt Commissioner is going into these things. And if you follow what the Judgment Debt Commissioner has been doing and the comments to the extent of breaking, weeping, you can really imagine that it's a serious indictment on this country, that we're just throwing monies away. Somebody, a minister, just awards a contract, does not refer to Attorney General to look at the procedures. Then another minister comes and says, no, let's terminate this contract without going through the processes under which you can't terminate the contract, without negotiating for the termination of the contract. And then the fellow waits. Sometimes they wait for about 4 years, change of government, then they go to court and ask for compensation. That is something that is very bad. Now, so it's good that we have the Judgment Debt Commission doing its work. Unfortunately, it has taken quite some time. This was 2012. We're in 2014. And as long as it goes...
The Judgment Debt Commissioner was commissioned in 2013, after the 2012 elections.
Okay, yes. No.
Sure.
I think the President made an announcement when he addressed the nation in September 2011, and I think the Commissioner was appointed before the elections. I'm not sure, but just around that time. Okay, but even if it is in 2013, it's already getting to 1.5 years. Now, there are some judgment debts that they may not be able to refuse to pay, but they have probably put a hold on the payments. So that is another judgment that is accumulating.
You mean it's accruing interest?
Yes, accruing interest. And with the inflation, definitely, it's going to be a lot more money we're paying. So I would have expected that if the government were serious, maybe the Judgment Debt Commission should be able to dispose of some of the easy cases so that they are determined and we know whether we're paying or we're not paying. But it's taking a long time. And it's also, people are also wondering whether the government will be bold enough to actually take action on these things. So it's a good thing, but the success is far inside.
Is that not preemptive?
No.
The Commission has not completed its work.
Yes.
The Commissioner has not submitted his report.
Yes.
And now you're preempting that no action will be taken.
I'm not preempting. I'm saying that some people are beginning to wonder whether they go. Because we've seen the government's own investigations. I've given you the investigation of the JIDA. This Suba investigation is not an investigation, you know that. We know about the SADA audit reports. We are not seeing the action taken. So you always think about the future, look at what has happened in the past or currently, So it's not preempting it. But it's not giving us the courage.
I have known you for some time now. You've been an anti-graft person for a very long time, undertaking a lot of work, making sure that the state's money is used judiciously and the right decisions are taken by public officials. Do you think that across board, whether it's a government A or a government B, there are certain actions that are taken that at the end of the day give recourse for concerns or the taxpayer to be concerned about effective decisions taken by public officers when they are in office?
Whether it's government A or government B, that has been the problem. One, we take decisions without due diligence. And again, you go back to the judgment debt. That's one reason. Sometimes, just for personal or political gain, you take decisions without thinking about the nation first. And those are the two things. For example, if there's a serious problem against somebody and the fellow decides to go and register with the ruling party at a time, and then the matter is kept quiet, and people forget about it, nothing happens. So there is, and I gave you the example of where you have already maybe 2 contractors doing one job, and then you go and contract a 3rd contractor to do the same job, paying them or similar jobs. When that body, for example, I don't see why GRA, a professional body like Ghana Revenue Authority, cannot do this monitoring that they are talking about. What do you need? They have been trained. I'm a tax officer. I just need to look at how to go about it, and I should be able to do that monitoring. But you go and give it to a contractor who sits down for 2.5 years and is being paid for doing no work.
That is perceived.
It's not perceived. I said, we have the documentary. When this journalist did all the work, I said, he even produced bank statements showing the payments to it. And the funny thing about it was that GRA was paying from the VAT refund account. When the man wasn't paying VAT, so that you say he overpaid VAT and you're refunding VAT to the company. Why were they doing that? 1, to conceal the payments, and 2, to make sure that income tax is not levied on the payments. That is my perception.
That's a perception.
That's my understanding.
That's your understanding
of the issues. Because I don't see why, if it is for cost of doing this, it should be paid from a different VAT fund, which is created for a particular purpose.
When you started the discussions, you made the claim that the accusations that are made and those accused constitute themselves into investigative bodies and trying to find some solutions to the difficulties or the challenges that have been unearthed by the investigations. Why do you make such conclusions? Now, if you make such conclusions and you feel that is your position, what then should be the best step to make sure there's an independent arbiter on these subjects? Well,
we've always called on government, even before they set up this so-called committee, an independent investigation body.
Like what? Like which one?
Well, you can even just set up a 3-man committee. They don't have to belong to Minister of Finance. They don't have to belong to Attorney General's Department. They don't have
government
to,
agency.
They don't have to belong. Not necessarily. They can be government agents, but they should not have any hand in the whole transaction. Because how would you expect a committee made up of GRA, Minister of Finance, to come and say that, oh, we have, and even Super Info, that, oh, we're guilty, or the officers involved were guilty? Do you expect that? They are human beings. We even ask that some of them should have been made to step aside of their present duties.
If it's a step aside, you mean they should be sacked?
No, at least proceed on...
or indicted?
No, proceed on leave. To give way...
That's sacking.
No, proceed on leave doesn't mean sacking. That is what happens these days. But it's not... We're saying that take your leave, you've had accumulated leave, or you're entitled to leave.
But you won't be reinstated. That's
why not? If you are not indicted, if the investigations find you innocent, why won't you be brought back? That's why I call it leave, not sacking. At least to make sure that they have a free hand to the documents, to the information, to do the investigations. But imagine that I am a deputy minister of finance, and you ask me to investigate the minister of finance. Will I do it? How am I going to have a free hand to do it when I know that every morning I'll go and say, good morning, sir?
Anti-corruption agencies like yours always have difficulties with government. I remember in the Kufuor administration, there was an issue with involving, is it the Rose Minister at the time, who was health minister when the incident happened, Dr. Richard Anani. well, he recused himself. An investigation concluded he did nothing wrong, so to speak. At the end of the day, though, there were concerns, hue and cry, from civil society agencies. And even I remember GII, so to speak, at the time. Not GII, I think was Transparency International.
Well, it's the same.
Yes, I know.
But maybe I wasn't there at the time.
Yes, yeah, you were not at the time. And so you always have concerns whether things are done right or not.
Yes, but that is why we are there. We are there to help the country do things the right way, to save us from unnecessary losses, to get value for money, so that we meet all the necessary commitments, financial commitments that we have as a nation. That people can go to hospital and spend just an hour or so and get quality health care. That children can go to school and get teachers coming on time and teaching them, making them pass the exams. That when you construct a road today, it should not have potholes in the next 2 weeks. But there are roads in Accra now that they are working on and there are potholes. And we're paying. Then we'll come back and pay. In Kasua, sometimes you get a bulldozer will just come and scrape the thing, increasing the erosion. The next day it rains, it washes away the soil. And we'll pay the bulldozer again to come back and do the same thing. You cannot afford to keep quiet on this, even if you are not an anti-corruption person. Because you wouldn't spend your own money to do that kind of dirty work. So it's not that we're against governments. We think that we're helping government to do the right thing, if they listen to us.
In going forward, what should be the structures that need to be set up? We have Shraj, and we have Yoko, and then we have, of course, the entire judiciary. What do you think need to be the structures set up, devoid of perhaps any partiality, any party political coloration, and very objective? What do you think the structure is?
You see, one of the problems with all the independent institutions in this country is that their heads are appointed by the president, the executive. When there's a vacancy, it's an opportunity to the ruling government, the government of the day, to put somebody who is either perceived to belong to the party or at least sympathetic to the party.
Is that what you're saying? That the head of Shraj, everybody because they are appointed?
I am not saying that.
No, you're saying this, so I'm only asking whether that's
a problem with most of the independent. So they are supposed to be independent, but that alone sometimes can compromise. I say sometimes can compromise their effectiveness.
Is it currently compromising their effectiveness?
I cannot say that. I don't know about that.
So how can we draw that very
But the second point that I can assure you is that they are not properly financed. And they have come out to say that they are not properly financed. They were supposed to have investigated SADA more than a year ago. They haven't done it. We haven't seen any report. The point is that they don't have the resources to do that investigation. You know that when they do any investigation and they make any recommendation, it has to go to Attorney General. Ayoko too has to go to Attorney General. So you cannot say devoid of political, whatever you call it, colorization. Those are the issues. So you need to make them independent, give Shraj prosecutorial power so that when they investigate and they think that this is a serious crime, they can take the person to court without having to refer to any other body. Give them the resources to recruit and retain quality staff and to go out there and do their work. If you don't do that, then you just set them up, they sit down and take their pay at the end of the month, and you don't see what they are doing. And you cannot blame them.
So what should we be doing?
So yes, so that is one thing.
Independent appointments heads of some of these
institutions, equip them with the necessary resources to be able to do their work. And of course, when you say independent appointments, you'll be looking for people with integrity, people that will put the nation ahead of their personal interests. And then a media, vibrant media, that will do this investigative journalism, report these things, and keep hammering on them. You remember the Info Solution, that's our second press statement. No, it's our first press statement when we issued it. No radio station or wanted to bring it. It was only Joy FM. We issued it on Thursday. The documentary itself. It was released on Thursday. And it was only City FM.
Are you saying that it's a systematic attempt by the media to...
I am not saying that. But it took at least 4 or 5 days for this thing to start being discussed in the media. And I don't know what reason. I'm just saying that we need a vibrant media to always pioneer this
But you've only you cited cases.
After that, we issued a press statement.
You've cited cases.
After that, we issued a press
You've
statement.
cited
And
cases.
it took a long time.
You've cited cases.
That press statement was not even discussed.
You've cited cases.
Yes.
Which you have linked to the media,
yes.
haven't been unearthed by the media.
Yes.
So how can, in another vein, the media be very apathetic to...
I am not saying they are apathetic, but they need to be more vibrant.
Than they are currently.
Than they are. Some of them are very vibrant, but it's not all of them. And it also sometimes depends on the issue. It also sometimes depends on the issue. They may not be interested, or they may be prevailed upon, I don't know, I don't have evidence, not to take up the matter. But I'm saying that we need independent media houses that are vibrant, that are ready to go out and do the investigations and keep hammering on these issues. And then, of course, civil society should give them the necessary support.
There's the other side of the argument that because perhaps the media has become vibrant, so the work you do as anti-graft agencies and the work the media also does and the continuous focus of lenses on the activities of public institutions and public officials brings to the fore a lot more some of these issues of corruption and perhaps things that need to be done to improve or sanitize public expenditure and reduce embezzlement of public funds, etc. And so it's all due to the work. What do you mean?
Yes, that is true. That is true. But the problem with both the media and we in civil society is that we take an issue, it's in the news for 1 week, nothing is done, and we don't come back to it. We don't revisit it. This info solution thing has come because the committee now came out with a report. But people were beginning to forget about it. It's not only the media, it's we in civil society too. We don't go back to it. And so you don't put the pressure on the government to act.
Okay. We're 5 minutes to wrap up with this discussion. My conclusion from all that you have been saying is that you paint a very gloomy picture of Ghana as a country and the state of governance. Is that the picture? Am I fair?
With regards to corruption, yes. With regards to corruption, yes. And I'm saying that we have so many problems that we should use our limited resources effectively. We should use our limited resources effectively for the benefit of the country and the majority of the citizens. We are not doing that. And the examples are clear. You see, if you go and take a loan of 64 million euro, and out of that 297,000 or something you are going to pay, use it to pay judgment debt. What do you think? Does it make sense? Would you do that? Take a loan from the bank for your personal project and use it to pay avoidable, sometimes avoidable debts? It's like taking your salary, knowing that you have to pay your children's school fees. You go and sit in the drinking bar every day for the whole month. That's what we need to do. We are not waking up to our needs. And corruption is one of the leakages. This economic forum that they went hard in Kosovo.
You were not participant?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I think it was by invitation. But
you're supposed to be a key stakeholder.
Well, who determines that? It's not me. It's the organizers that determine that. But if they do everything that they recommended there without handling corruption, they will not succeed.
But it was one of the pointers, I remember, the 22, among the 22 that were...
Yes.
Corruption was...
a pointer there.
Yes.
It requires action.
Yes.
And if you don't act, all other measures will not succeed. Let me just give you an example. You say that if I have a dollar account in the bank, I cannot go and take money unless I prove that I'm going to travel. But I can go to a forest bureau and buy $10,000. What controls do you have over the forest bureaus as against...
So the regulations should be stricter.
As against the banks. You should not even discriminate. Why that special concession to the forest bureaus? When you don't have that control over them, banks will have more control over banks than the forest bureaus. And so people decide to keep their dollars in their house. Or go and dig a hole and bury it there. Anytime you are hard up, you go and pick it. So when you are making policies, you have to also look at the other side. What are the possible outcomes, negative outcomes of this policy? So that you put in place measures to address those. If you don't do that, you will not succeed. And corruption is one of the possible negative things that can happen. No matter how good a policy is, you have to address that. So that is the point. That is for every government, whether you are in power today or you are struggling for power tomorrow. But Ghanaians must also begin to consider corruption more than a political issue.
Meaning what? The roads they need in their community,
yes,
the health posts they need in their community,
they should demand
should be
and attach it when it comes to voting time.
Should be equated on the same level as corruption issues.
Yes.
About how a party in waiting to be in government intends tackling corruption.
Yes. It's very important that you do that.
The way you talk, you're very very skeptical about politicians and the political elite.
Well, it's not only me. A lot of Ghanaians are very skeptical.
No, yeah, I'm interviewing you, so
yes.
I'm not talking about a lot of Ghanaians. Okay. I'm talking about you.
Yes.
Why?
Because they come to us asking for our votes, making a lot of promises that they know they cannot fulfill. We vote for them, and they go there and they are not even able to fulfill half of those elections. I mean, those promises. That is the problem.
Okay.
And we have always said that people say, oh, you blame the politicians only. We don't blame the politicians only. But they have the power to act on the rest of the people that
they have the power to effect.
Yes, and they are not using that power.
You keep counting your fingers. It means that you have a lot of issues. What issues is Transparency International, the GIA looking up next? Or you are still putting your lenses at place?
Well, we see, like, we are not able to do our own investigations. So we look at issues that come up. We take them up and try to help push forward the concerns that have come up. Like this info solution thing, we think that there is a lot that has to be done, a lot of questions that have been answered, which are not being answered. And we even suspect that they haven't stopped the payments.
How do you get your funding, since you're not just a think tank? Are you paid by the UN, or you're giving some
We're
grants?
Not paid by UN.
Some grants by the IMF also.
Why do you think that IMF should give us? I don't even know.
I'm asking a question.
Well, we look for people that believe in the things that we do, and send proposals. If it's also their focus, they may approve and help us with the money to
Somebody
do
say you're only doing the bidding of your paymasters.
Well, if you look at our funders, they are not politicians. Okay. They are not IMF. They don't have anything to do with our bidding. Okay,
Vitus Azim, I hope to have you again in the studio. We'll discuss issues of corruption, for which your organization and yourself you're very passionate about. And throughout our discussions today, he's used the community in which he lives. A lot of people also live in that community, Kaswa, to be a case study. The roads are bad. It takes a lot of time for things to be done in the community, and there's no general transparency in that area as well, as far as execution of contracts in that very community. Just food for thought, so to speak. Vitus Azim, thanks for joining me this morning. Vitus Azim is the executive.
You're welcome.
Okay, Vitus Azim is the executive secretary for Ghana Integrity Initiative. It is a local arm or local chapter of Transparency International. We know that at the end of the year, they will also come out with their Corruption Perception Index report, and we'll get to see where Ghana lies and their own concerns about that very perception index report.